Well, it was very wonderful for whites to recognize the tragedy of the past and to want to make up for it. But in the process, they again, in a sense, duplicated. They took our fate out of our hands. They said to us, we can fix you better than you can fix yourself. We're the actors. And so you can hear the white supremacy in this form of liberalism.
Can you believe it? I'm still here, living inside this tent for 100 days, from November the 20th to February 28th, bringing to you the issues and awareness that you need to know about the violence on the south side of Chicago, but also to raise as much money as possible to build a community center on this much needed block called O Block. It's called O Block because it's named after a young man named O.D. Perry who was shot and killed. The gangs took the O in his name and started calling it O Block. We decided we liked the O, but we're going to change it to Opportunity Block. I want to thank Fox for giving me the opportunity every single day to bring you Rooftop Revelations, where I share with you my thoughts, viewpoints, and opinions on matters as it relates to Chicago violence and issues across our great country. Right now, I'm in Chicago, and I'm making my last stand against post-60 liberalism. I'm on this roof until I raise the money to build this community center, which I see as a place of transformation, as well as a place of hope for my fellow Southsiders. The reason why I believe building this building is so crucial is because so many children born here have known nothing but violence and poverty. They have no frame of reference to understand that there's a world out there that things don't have to be the way they always have been and that the way that they are. This is why I'm honored to have Shelby Steele, the writer, filmmaker, as my guest on Rooftop Revelations. Mr. Steele was born on the South Side and grew up here. And the reason why I wanted to talk to him is because he knew this world before post-60 liberalism, or what many refer to as the Great Society programs, before they came in and eventually destroyed this neighborhood. He saw how blacks here thrived and how all kids of all kinds of businesses were here and the community was thriving and families were together. So I'm glad to have Mr. Steele on our show. Mr. Steele, thank you. Welcome to Rooftop Revelations.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. I want to ask you some questions. I'm an avid fan and a reader of all your materials, all your books, and I'm excited that you got a new book that's going to be coming out soon. But I want to ask you, what was it like on the South Side of Chicago before government decided to come in to the lives of blacks and attempt to socially engineer their way upward? What was it like?
Well, I suppose looking back from today, it was a kind of golden age almost. This was after the war, post in 50s, 60s. The government had no interest in socially engineering Black Americans anywhere. We were pretty much left to our own devices within the boundaries of segregation. So we were limited in that regard. And yet, within the community itself, there was an ethos of responsibility and of new possibility in a post-war community. And so the focus was on what we could do for ourselves, and we did many great things. As I mentioned not long ago, on the street I grew up on, a friend down at the end of the block, his name was Melvin Van Peebles. Later on, he invented independent filmmaking in America, in the world.
Wow.
There was a girl named Linda Hawkins became a PhD biologist. There was any number of people who came out of this neighborhood that was segregated and working class at best, poor, but everybody in that sense was on their way up. There was an idea that we would take ourselves up. There was mutual respect. The family structure was supported. The marriage rates were higher than in many white communities, and we were on the way. And so it was a great place for me to grow up. I never saw a pistol until I was probably 18 or 19 years old. I never heard a gunshot. You showed respect in the community, and you could be disciplined by other people's parents who would say, "Well, I'm going to tell your mother on you," and mean it.
Absolutely.
There was a sense that we were an important people on our way up.
Right. So it sounds like before post-60 liberalism, we were moving upward. So what is it that you feel happened in the 60s that changed all of that?
We ran into white guilt. By that I mean, white America did something extremely brave, courageous, honorable in every way. As the civil rights movement began to build in the 50s and 60s, they acknowledged that America had committed an original sin, that racism, slavery, segregation, oppression, in 1,000 ways. I mean, our lives were really circumscribed by white racism. When America finally acknowledged that and admitted that, it became interested in its own redemption, in its own moral legitimacy. And it began to build programs, the Great Society and so forth, that showed America to be concerned with redeeming itself from its history, not in asking for development from the Black community. So in a sense, our fate was stolen from us as Blacks, was taken away and used to reestablish the moral legitimacy of whites. Well, it was very wonderful for whites to recognize the tragedy of the past and to want to make up for it. But in the process, they again, in a sense, duplicated. They took our fate out of our hands. They said to us, "We can fix you better than you can fix yourself. We're the actors." And so you can hear the white supremacy in this form of liberalism. The idea that whatever happens to you Black people, we do it. You are not the actors in your own fate. That's what then took the steam, the focus of away from Blacks and into the larger community. And we began immediately in the mid-60s to fall into decline. And we have been declining ever since. And today we are further behind whites than we were back in the 60s.
You know, Mr. Steele, you talk about, being behind, and I've read in some of your books and I've heard you in some of your lectures talking about a permanent Black underclass that was created by post-60s liberalism. Was there a Black underclass before that?
There was not.
A permanent Black underclass?
I never heard of a Black underclass until the work of William Julius Wilson came out in the 1970s, so important sociologist studying the inner city life. And he was sort of the first to document the burgeoning of this Black underclass. The word itself, it suggests that this was a class of helpless people. And it is helplessness is the marker. There's people who are stuck in poverty and have no way out. So that became is a term that is still with us. The underclass still suffers from this. Yet it is supported by this, again, post-60s liberalism, which now, as far as I'm concerned, the word that comes to mind is it enables weakness in Blacks. It rewards us for being irresponsible, for not taking. It says there's no degree of irresponsibility that you can fall into that we won't reinforce with public money. We will reinforce you for that. We won't ask you to do better, and we will support you when you do worse. And so you get people falling out of the working class, falling out of family life, falling away from the institutions that make a community strong. And then you're left with an underclass. Mr. Steele, I'm on this roof, and I'm here on the roof because
We've had 70 years of decay in this community, your former community. And people, you know, they laugh and mock and they talk about me being here. But in a way, I really feel like it's a sign of desperation, how desperate things have gotten. And have we really come to a place in America where I and my staff feel that the only thing to reverse the decline is through extreme measures like me being on a rooftop? I mean, I think we have the tools. You've seen our work firsthand, so you know we really do mean business, but we lack the funds. What do you think about just the work that we're trying to do to turn this thing around on the south side of Chicago and become a model for America?
Well, I think you're God's gift right now to Black America, to the Black community all across America, because we've gotten this terrible idea coming out of the 60s that our dependency on the larger society is justice. And that what we needed would be doing is protesting, and we need Black Lives Matter, and we need Black anger, and we need Black identity, and we need all these things. No, those things assuage us as we decline. What we need are traditional family values, a mother and a father. No social programs will ever substitute for that. And we need that sort of common sense responsibility for our own fate, and the society needs to don't just keep giving us things, more and more things. Ask more from us, and we need to ask more from ourselves. I think America's patience is going to run out pretty soon. But the work that you do, my friend, is the future. You are building us, putting us back together. You are focusing on all these things. You're asking something of the people you're trying to help. That's the secret. And they then know what to do and how to organize themselves, how to think about the world. You know, I learned this at the community center. I am responsible. I have to clean this space and take care of this and do my homework and so forth and so on. And I have to prepare myself to move into the larger world and become a part of American society fully and educate myself. And if I don't, I'm going to suffer. But that's up to me. I have the opportunity to overcome that.
Absolutely. Well, in a way, you know, we really feel like this is our last stand. This is our stand against post-60 liberalism. And we really do. You've been there since the beginning, and we really feel like we're doing the right thing. And I want to thank you for being with us. And I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and viewpoints and opinions here on Rooftop Revelations. And I appreciate what you do so very much, as you're a blessing to not just me, but to people across America. So thank you for being on with us today.
Well, it may sound like I'm putting the syrup on the syrup, but I just want to emphasize, you are doing what I know what nobody else is doing. I'm guilty sitting out here in Arizona in this warm weather, and you're sitting there, but you are standing for something that is just enormous and that is revolutionary. The idea of self-help as the way for Black America to overcome its history of deprivation. That is a revolutionary idea that you are the only one I know who's actually down on the ground tried it. And you are due all due respect and support for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Listen, I hope you enjoyed our Rooftop Revelations today. It's been a blessing. Thank you to Mr. Steele. Thank you to Eli Steele for producing the show. Thank you to Terrell for always filming, even in this cold weather. We greatly appreciate it. And of course, our guest today, Mr. Steele. It is a blessing. To all of you in America, God bless you. God bless America. And as I always say, another Rooftop Revelation. Until tomorrow, peace.